It's complementary, compassionate communication keeps us completely comfortably connected. Now, this is not compliment with an I. Compliment means I say something nice about it. Now look at the first part. This has to do with completing, complementary. Now let me give you a couple of illustrations. We would say, so we're talking about something that completes. We would say a scarf completes the outfit. Okay, everybody got that? Mm-hmm. A necktie completes the suit. Okay, steak sauce completes the steak. Okay, that's actually what people are doing when they get married. We complete each other.
That's good. That's good.
So we're talking about complementary, compassionate communication. Now, what that means is that my communication is designed to complete you, not destroy you, complete you. So my communication is designed to move you further along in the direction where we believe you ought to go. Okay, watch this. Years ago, I knew a man who could not teach his wife to drive because he kept fussing at her. Matter of fact, she ran up on the curb. He told her how much a fronting alignment cost. And he went through all that. And so he could not teach her. He had to be too frustrated. Now, listen to this. Wives, you ought to be able to teach your husband anything that you know. If you know it, but can't, I don't have the patience. Husbands, you ought to be able, if you know it, to teach your wife anything. Now that's if she'll listen, but I'm saying you ought to have the patience to do it.
Right.
And you ought to have it with your children. There's nothing that I know that anybody can teach my children better than I can, because I have the patience to teach them. Because what I know is I cannot teach you math if I get the child upset. So I have to use complementary.
That's right.
Communication. I cannot allow my frustration to show on my face. I can't be teaching him frowning over here. You have to do that, and you can do it.
That's right.
Now, guess what? You do this with everybody else. On the job, somebody else's wife can mess up 15 times. Oh, I do it. Somebody else's husband can mess up 30 times. Oh, I'll take care of that. But if it's your own spouse, it's simply you are not committed to doing what you really have to do. So you should take the position, I'm never going to let anybody be more complimentary, complete, complementary, compassionate communication keeps us completely, comfortably connected. And this is true in all relationships. Now, I told you about my brother and my relationship. That relationship began to improve when I decided to stop reminding him of all the wrong he had done.
Amen.
When I stopped reminding him of how much money he had thrown away, how many people he'd robbed, how much crack he had smoked, when I decided to stop doing that, he already knows how much money.
That's right.
So I don't ever mention that. And when I stop trying to tell him what he needs to do. Now, sometimes I think, man, somebody ought to tell him. And then when I stopped doing that, it improved our relationship. So guess what? He's more apt now to ask me what I think he ought to do, when before he didn't care what I thought. He wasn't going to do it. So you have to take a different approach. The approach I had used for years did not work. It didn't work. All that did was He just stayed away from the family for 2 years at a time. We didn't know where he was. So when I changed that behavior, guess what? My brother doesn't go a week. He doesn't talk either to me, my sister, or my mom. And he has literally gone. I mean, there's been times we thought he was dead. We didn't hear from him. Okay. Question. How much time we got? Question. I'll let you take questions. All right, bring me those chairs.
I have a question.
Yes. Oh, you did have your hand up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to go back to communication.
Okay.
And when you talked about how you need to say things and, you know, the way you need to say them, isn't it also just as important or nearly as important to receive, to be able for the other person to be able to receive?
Very much so.
What you said.
Very much so. Now, here's something I want to add. Once the person begins to see what it is that you want them to see, now I got them to see it. Now you can go back and put the intention into it, but only after they see it. For example, after she saw how devastating those boys watching the wrestling and trying to do what they saw. After she sees that, now you can come back and talk about, you know, he could have broke his neck. And then we've been wheeling around a quadriplegic child the rest of his life. So now, but only after, once that person sees it, then you come back. But see, we like to sometimes put the intention into it first, and then people, even when they see it, they decide, I'm not going to let you know I see it just because you yelled. Now that's not fair, not right, but people do that. Okay? Good question. Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so I'm not suggesting that you have to tiptoe around the rest of your life and you never get a chance to express. So now I get a chance to say, you know, when those children watch the wrestling, this is what it did to me. It just, so after they see it, you can then help them understand. Oh, wow. So all that period of time, I was really stressing you out today. Okay? Yes?
We exactly discussed how to argue. Could you talk about that? How to argue?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. How many of you argue? You ought to argue. Listen, 2020 did a survey. John Stossel, I ordered that transcript from 2020 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, a long time ago. And he said, here is the way you determine that your husband is fixing to leave you. If you start fussing and he has started, you don't say anything else. He stops fussing back. He has made up in his mind, I'm going to tolerate this for about 7 more days. I ain't got to send him because I'm out of here. So I keep on arguing. But I've already decided. And he showed research. So you need to learn to argue. Arguing is therapeutic. All right, who wants to be the arguing volunteer couple? I'm going to teach you how to argue, but I'm going to teach you. Y'all come on, y'all.
7 months. 8 months.
Thank you. Actually, what I'm going to teach y'all, give me your names again.
Gina and
Manny and Gina. Okay? I'm going to teach you what I call the 9-point contact for communication. It is an excellent tool for husbands and wives. It's an excellent tool for parents and children. It really is an excellent. Listen, if you got a hyper child, this is excellent. This is excellent. I'll show you how this works. I told you what's called 9-point contact. It's easy and simple. Now, so when you go home, this is how you all will practice this. You don't have to do it now. You'll pull off your shoes and you would set your feet up on his feet. So just kind of put them side by side. That's 2 points of contact. Slide your chair in because I want your knees touching. That's 4 points of contact. And you're going to hold hands. That's 6 points of contact. And you're going to look at each other's eyes. And don't stop looking at each other's eyes until I tell you. Okay, relax and get comfortable. Because now this is a 30-minute experience. And when you do this, you do it for 30 minutes.
Do I get us a kiss on that?
Huh? Oh man, listen. He know he's got a kiss coming. Oh my goodness. Woo, boy. Don't jump up and run out. Don't jump up and run out. We better shorten this circuit so we can get his kiss.
What did she say? We can't hear back here.
Say again. Oh, she asked because she kissed him now. Oh.
After hold hands, what was this?
That's all you got yet.
That
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, eyes. Now here's the way you look at a person's eye. You look in one eye and then look over at the other eye. Don't try to look in both at the same time. You look in one and then you look over the other. Now, relax, 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 relax. Listen, how well you can do this, when I do this in coaching sessions, tell you a lot about the nature of the relationship. Okay? Now, and what I want you to do is, I want you to look at that eye. So you're looking so closely that you're trying to find out how one eye looks different than the other eye. So you're really examining his eyes. You look at one eye, then you look over to the other eye. Then you start noticing, okay, there's a brown spot in one eye, there's not one. So you really have to, you got to do that. You got to really, really, really look. So you got to be relaxed. You got to be relaxed in doing this. So now we have 8 points of contact. Now we're going to connect with the heart. That's the 9th point. All right, so now here's how we do that. Gina, is that right? Okay. You have a lead. When you do this, you unplug the television, turn off the cell phone, turn off the radio, everything. Set the alarm clock for 30 minutes minimum. If you cannot do this for 30 minutes, your relationship is not progressing. You want to know. Okay, so you set the alarm clock to make sure, 30 minutes. Okay, one person is the lead per session. So this is Gina's session. So Gina, you get a chance, and you don't have to do it every time when you go home. You get a chance. Look at her eye, brother. You won't lose that kiss if you don't look at her eye. She gonna say, "You can look at my eye." Okay. Now, Gina gets a chance to say whatever is on her heart. He cannot interrupt. He cannot stop. He cannot frown her. He can't shift around in the chair. The only thing his job is to pull out of her. So his position is, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Because you have to see what's in her heart. Otherwise, you will never know how to respond. So you have to be inviting. So you have to have an inviting facial expression. So you gotta invite it. So she's telling you what's in her heart. So when she finished telling you what's in her heart, the only thing you can do, she's not asking for your approval. She's not asking whether you agree with it. The only thing you can do, and this is what you would do, you repeat back to her what you thought you heard her say. And then she either say, that's what I said. For example, Gina will come home and say, the neighbors have a very beautiful flower yard. There's a flower garden at the neighbor's house that's very beautiful. So he'll just repeat that. So I hear you say, the neighbors have some very beautiful flowers in their yard. Okay? So you gotta make sure that's what she said. Okay? So if she said in the window and you said in the yard, that's not what. So the first thing is, she makes sure, you're making sure, I understood exactly what you said. To too many arguments start, and you didn't even know what they said. Now, I know that's true because I've done this. I've done this with Priscilla, my wife. We are arguing. I switch my position, and she's in mode of opposition. I'm going to disagree with what you're saying. So she switched over and didn't realize. That's how. And that's what people do. We decide, I'm going to disagree. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I ain't agreeing with you. So we want to buy carpet, and you want vinyl floor. I say carpet's too expensive. Oh, it ain't, no, it ain't. And then I switch over and say, vinyl flooring is not too expensive. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because and if you don't think that's the case, in a heated argument, switch what you're saying, and you'll know this. So they're not listening. So since the person is not listening, guess what? You might as well quit talking. It's like preaching a sermon. Before we're going to sleep, you might as well quit. All right? So Jenna is just talking about what's on her heart. So now he knows this is what she said. What does she mean by that? Why did you tell me that? Why did you tell me that? All right, she says, because see, there's some implications to that. Why she told you that. But you don't know, so don't guess. So suppose Jenna comes home and she tells him to show the flowers, and he thinks, oh, she wants some flowers at our house. So he takes off a day for work. She comes home from work, he dug up the yard and planted some flowers. She drives up in the yard and said, what you doing? Planting flowers. Thought you wanted flowers. So she goes on in the house. And he hears her on the phone telling her sister, man, my husband lost his mind. He went out and dug up the yard. He's thinking, I did this all day long for this woman, and she didn't offer me a glass of water. How ungrateful she is. So he's mad as he can be. I did this for her. But that's not going to happen, because in this conversation, after we find out what it is that she said, you want to know what are the implications of that. So now she's sharing, and you might even ask her, would you like to plant some flowers in our yard? She might say, no. What I want you to do, though, is, I saw those flowers when I was walking around the neighborhood. I'd just like for you to hold my hand and walk around the neighborhood every week, once a week. See, that may be what she wants. Now, and you're like, why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you just tell me? Why you been trying to make me feel bad about how the yard looked? Why didn't you just tell me? Anybody had that experience? Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you just tell me? And then they walk around like, man, I did. He's slow. She's slow. Or you try to draw the conclusion, they saw it. They just don't want to do it. Don't take that position. Now, so, she just wants you to walk around the neighborhood. You don't want no flowers in his yard. Okay. Now, so, or she might say, what I want you to do is give me a dozen roses every day. Listen. Roses every day for the month of May. Now watch this. Now listen to this. If you get this, it's helping. Now, your specifics may be different, but the dynamics are the same. So you don't bristle all up. You want her to help you understand why flowers every day in the month of May. Why? Now remember this illustration I told you over here? Once the husband understood why you was crying, he was okay with it. He could never be okay until he understood why. So she's going to say to you, when I was a little girl, you supposed to look at hold on. Now, he's actually making my point, because husbands and wives have requests of each other that seems far-fetched and unrealistic. And they are definitely far-fetched and unrealistic until we understand why. But now watch this. So she's going to say to you, when I was a little girl, school was out, and we would go see my grandma, and we spent the month of May. And grandma had the most beautiful flowers, and she had me out there every day, let me work with her in her flower bed. So flowers just mean so much to me. And so I spent that month with grandmama, and my grandmama died in May, and said so those flowers just give me a great feeling, a great connection to my grandmama. Feel a little different now, don't you? See my point? See, once he sees what she sees, he can begin to feel the way she feels. But he cannot feel the way she feels until he sees what she sees. So you have to lead him to see that.
That doesn't mean that he's going to say, he could say, we're not going to do a dozen, we'll do one a day. And do a compromise.
Could very well be. Could very well be. But that's, without you telling him this, you're not going to get one every day. And even if he doesn't get the flowers, he's going to have a greater appreciation for your grandmother and your relationship with your grandmother. He's going to have a greater appreciation for that. See, you got to let people into your heart so they can see what you see and feel what you feel.
Right.
Otherwise, they can never do that. Never. So, you get the whole 30-minute session. Now, this is a recommendation to all of you. Would you go home and do this? Set the alarm clock. And I recommend 3 a week. Yeah, 3 a week. So, you get a chance to lead, and he leads the next one. So, he gets a chance to say what's on his heart. And you have to listen. And your job is to keep pulling out of his heart so you can see why he thinks that way, why he feels that way, because you cannot respond appropriately to him. You cannot feel what he feels until you see what he sees. You can't possibly do that. Okay? Now, and that's with children. Set your children down, make them look in your eyes, and talk to them. They can sit here and talk to you. And once the children get to the point where they get comfortable, and they're not going to be comfortable, because you're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to be that comfortable. Okay? Now, and once they get to the point where they can look you in the eye and talk to you, your children then can tell you anything. But you have to get to them. And you want to sit here. But now, once again, I'm sitting here with my child. My child is telling me what's in their heart. I can't disagree with you. I can't disagree. So my child is telling me that they smoke some marijuana. You what? You can't do that. You gotta. Now there is a time to do that, but not at this point. Because if you do that, guess what? They will stop telling you. You see what I was so hurt? You need to find out how much marijuana they've been smoking. And so you need to keep talking. If they smoke some marijuana one time, if they smoke marijuana twice a day, you got a different issue. Right. So you gotta pull out what's going on, what's how'd you all that. Okay? Give them a hand. They were very good time. All right.
So at what age do you start this with your children? Because and the reason why I ask that question is 30 minutes seems like an eternity to a kid, especially, if they're 4, 5, 6, whatever, they're not going to probably talk for 30 minutes.
Because they don't think you listen. You ever notice that children talk all the time? It's amazing what your children will tell you if they believe I've got your undivided attention. It's amazing. So we really, because children will talk so much, sometimes about nothing or whatever. So I always said to my children, I said, if you have something serious to talk to me about, here's how you get my attention. You come to me and say, Daddy, I need to talk to you. I said, I'll stop what I'm doing.
That's right.
And I'll look you in your eye and listen. But if you just come by and you talking, I'm gonna keep working. I am not gonna stop and give you another. So this is how I said, when you say that, I will stop whatever I'm doing and I will give you my 100% attention until you finish. So if you need to get my attention, that's how we do that. So once you start, and here's a beautiful thing to do: get your children to start doing everything else. 30 minutes initially, and they're not gonna do that. But they need to know, because I find my next door neighbor, she's 2 years younger than I am. Their parents are deceased. She called me the other day, blown away, because one of her sisters had said to her, and Mom and Daddy said, you never did nothing for them. Now, her mother has been dead 15 years. Her daddy has been dead 10 or 11. So guess what? Her sister had harbored that in her heart for 10 years. It devastated her. And I said to her, you really got to think about what's the context of that. Now, I know they didn't say that across the board. They was talking about something specific, that you didn't do one particular thing that they wanted you to do. Because she took care of her dad when he got sick. So I know they could have been saying that. And so after she thought about that, she said, well, maybe that's... But once they got into that argument on the phone, it was like, I can't believe she said that. I can't believe she said that. Now, let me teach you how to argue. Here's how you argue. You never say it.
Say what? Never said it only once.
Never say it. Just once. Just say it like that. Once you have said it, and he understood it, do not say it again. For what? Have you ever said it 30 times? Did she look at you and say, oh, you've said it so many times, you convinced me.
No, that's not.
And it ain't gonna never happen. So once you say it one time, you might as well say it again. Saying it over and over again only drives the person further from it. That's right. Yeah, I know that's hard to process it. See, watch this. See, here's what you're doing. When you say it one time, once he realizes that you only say it one time, what you're doing is you're leaving it up to his conscience. So he now knows. You're not going to pitch your fit. You're going to put it in his conscience one time. It's his responsibility to do something. So you're not going to tell him again. So you're going to trust his conscience. Now, if you are in a relationship, marriage, if it's a basically good person, if their conscience don't get them to do it, you ain't going to do it. So you just, now, if you really feel that you just have to say it again, you lower your voice. The second time, you lower your voice. When my children were young, and especially my daughter, I could call her and say, come here. You can get over there and say, cut this out. Tears run down her face. My children were far more intimidated when I said to them, "You could do that." And I could say it with a jest and I say, "If you don't cut it out, you go outside." Far, because they knew. They did that. They knew I was as angry as I could be. And I was going to take them out and work them over. They knew that. Now, here's what I discovered. Everybody take another deep breath. Mothers, you ever wonder why your children won't do anything when you're yelling? Because they know that's all you're going to do. I'm going to bust you open. Don't ever tell your children that, because by the time they get 12, They said, Mama has lied 2 million times. So you look to your